Thank you for watching today. I wanted to quickly go over how to uh, create a database with Query Store and kind of give you the quick and dirty, as I say, on how to use Query Store. So I have segmented these off into different queries. First of all, we're going to create the database, standard stuff. We're going to set Query Store to off at first because we want to create our objects and then have Query Store on. So that'll create Query Store. And the thing is, to understand if you even have it turned on, you go to the Query Store table database, and then you can see within here. Obviously, since I turned it off, it is not there. There should be a folder that says Query Store, and then you can access things, your query information from there. So if I go ahead and go to the second one, everything works in a progression. So first of all, we're going to create a table with 3 columns. And so this is one that I got off, I think, SQL Skills or one of the blog posts. Pretty cool. It just quickly shows you what the abilities are here. So we're going to create a table. We're going to create a sort procedure that accesses that table and does a where clause on C3. And then we're going to insert information in there, and we're going to do multiple inserts. So this won't be these statements won't be captured in Query Store. That's why we turned it off. And so if I run the whole thing, it should be able to create data, create the table, create the store procedure, and then set Query Store on. I must be having stuff running in order to take so long. What slow system do I have? I have 30 gigs RAM, so I don't understand that. But let's go ahead and refresh. So after refreshing, there we go. There's a folder called Query Store. So I think today we're going to focus really on top resource consuming queries. Overall resource consumption, we're not going to hit, or regress queries, track queries. So what you can do is you can set a query ID to be tracked and see what goes on over time. And then all your regressed queries, meaning, how long are things taking. So let's go ahead and double click on this. Should bring up the dashboard. And here's the first, obviously things have been running in the background, so there's schema queries going on. I don't think there's any way to actually disable those. Everything that is run on the database is captured. So we're not going to hit on those right now. What we're going to do is we're going to go to our third query. And what we want to do is actually run the store procedure without any indexes. So we're going to run that 20 times. We're going to pass in 0 to that third column in the where clause. So obviously I need to use the right database, right, in order to get this to correctly work. So this is going to run it 20 times. So it's going to create a plan for that query. So if we refresh, we can see that the query that we ran somewhere around here. There we go. It did a full table scan, and because it has no indexes on it at all. So this is really important to understand for our full example. So in order to you can switch and toggle between different views within the dashboard. This is the summary in a chart format, but then if you go over here, this is the grid view, and it gives you the information spread out, and it looks a lot easier. You can get that information by hovering over it in the other view. And in order to get different types of information, you can go over here and select, your average, your max. We can go back and forth. This is setup duration. There's logical reads versus physical reads. Whatever your tuning needs are, that's what you'd want to look at. So right now, as you can see, we only have one plan for this query. And so now if we go ahead and we already ran it with no So let's go to 4, and let's add an index. Maybe it's not the right index, but it'll kind of give you a good example of what's going on. So let's go to create the index and run the proc again, because we're on C3. We want to do where clause in C3, so maybe that'll help us out in the long run. Oh, so now we have 2 plans, and as you can see, we're selected on the first plan, and then if we select on the second plan, so there's a different plan that came about. It obviously used the non-clustered index, did an index seek on it, but we still have an RID lookup. So, but as you can see from the chart, we had a lot lower average of reads, logical reads. If we go to the grid, it'll even show you different. The average is a lot lower. This is what we're gonna focus on in order to show kind of the ability of force plan. So we're not going to force the plan because this is a better plan and more optimal. But if we go into so we've done we've tested with the 1 index. Let's go to 5, and we'll do a 3rd index and then execute. So let's see if that helps the plan cache at all, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it hinders it. C3, we're doing a where clause, and C1 is one of the columns that we're querying. See if it helps. So with that, if we go ahead and run this, create another plan. And if we go in here, plans are very similar in nature. It really didn't help us out, I don't think. So if we now, in order to actually compare 2 different plans, you can do that easily. Click the shift button and then select the second plan. So now you have 2 plans that you've selected, and now in order to compare it, you hit the compare button. Compare the plans for selected query. So that'll do that, and it'll show you the differences. Really, there's not much difference here, so we're not going to focus on this right now, but it easily shows you that things can be compared. So let's go ahead and so since we created this plan, let's go ahead and look at 6. Now 6 will do an update, and since we have the current plan is this 51, but if we do updates, how is that going to affect updates and inserts? How will that affect us in the long run for that query? So let's go ahead and run that, and then run and of course I gotta select my database. Let's do updates and deletes and inserts, operations that happen on an operational system. So now after we run that, what happens? We don't have as big as an optimal plan as we had before. So really, if we do a comparison now, well actually, let's go to the grid. Let's not even do a comparison. So the newer plan has a higher average logical read, 14.5. So we actually want that the one from before. We want to choose that clustered index from before because it's more optimal because it doesn't read as much. So let's go ahead and try that and see what happens when we force it. Do you want to force that? Yes. So I'm just showing you through the graphical interface. You can use SSMS to run the force plan thing. So let's go ahead and so as you can see, when a plan is forced, when a query has a forced plan, it has a checkbox on that plan. And now when we run it again, let's go ahead and do that, and let's see what happens and see which plan it uses. So this is important. This is how you force a plan. if you want, say this is your high level query and everybody's running it, and those logical reads are very important to the optimization. There you go. It ran 49 for us a second time, and it chose that instead of, it chose the right, the one, the not the exact right, because we're gonna change that, but it chose the plan that we wanted it to choose, say, right? So I mean, we can look at these and probably going to be the same average. Yeah, see, everything went up. So really, we forced it, and it didn't work quite as well as we wanted. So we kind of want to look at it and go back and say, maybe we want to unforce it. Maybe that's it, or maybe we want to choose a better index for that. So really, you can unforce. I wonder what happens if we, just keep running this. It may choose that. I'm just testing things out here. It ran 51 instead of 49, so it's fine. Let's see, it's not fine because, I mean, we want to force that to be that better plan. See, it's just getting worse and worse. As you probably do to that index, it's doing more logical reads. So you probably want to keep it there, and then you can run it. So you're definitely going to have to, over time, look at what's best for and review these historically. So I mean, you can set this to be tracked. So we're on the query, and you want to track the query. You select track, and then it'll track it. So that's one way to maintain and understand your queries, because I mean, your top resource consumers, this is only the top level ones, and you're going to have multiple plans, queries running, and you may want to just track those. I don't think there'll be any in the regression, so we're not gonna hit on regression because I just don't have enough plan choices, I think, to run the regression ones. And so this will continue to it'll track your query and your plans that it uses. Pretty cool. It shows you what time they happen, things like that. So right now we want to unforce, because really, in all reality, we chose the wrong index. So we go here to 7. Let's create the optimum one. I guess for the demo we want to keep that forced. So I'm going to go and enforce that, because 8, we're going to unforce it. So now, not knowing that I'm forcing that plan and creating an optimal index, because in the where clause you're getting information from C3, so you want the index, and then you want to include those 2 columns that are being displayed or returned. So that'll create an optimal index. Problem is, we're forcing a plan, so if we go ahead and run this procedure, the same procedure over and over, we'll find out that it uses the force plan. Yep, so it used the force plan instead of using, so it uses the index, the first index, and we don't want that. So in order to unforce it, you can just do that, and that'll unforce it. As you see, there's no more check. Now if we run it again, so with that, it ran 61, and as you can see, it did an index seek, and you can do a comparison of the 2. So I'm not going to get into nuts and bolts of this, but you can just see the differences and understand why it happened the way it did. So it's very important to understand all these aspects and how Query Store is working. This is the quick and dirty of working with Query Plan. I'm not going to go into every single tidbit here, but as you can see, we created a table with Query Store on it. We added a store procedure that we ran multiple times and inserted, updated, and deleted, and showed you how Query Plan can minimize the plan choice, can maximize your efficiency by using the correct plan choice instead of using the wrong one. So that's a look. Thank you for joining me, and on to my live demo, which will be next.